What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It is July 16th. I said that I wouldn't shoot a video today to post sometime, probably a week from now. I don't know. I'm slowly getting kind of closer to the day that I post from the day I record. I've noticed that. But yesterday I recorded a few different videos. Because I was just doing things that made it, it was kind of like one of those days. The things I was working on here at the house were just, it kind of made sense to just get some videos done. Today I've got other things, but I'm getting a late start. I'm feeling pretty good physically compared to yesterday. This week, probably more energy than last. I feel better overall. But before I even dig in, I'm trying to get into the habit of giving the plugs out. I'm doing a live stream every Thursday from, what is it, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I gotta know what time it is so that I show up for the thing. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. 7 to 9 Eastern, whatever the other time zones are. I had a good number of people show up last time. It was neat. I really didn't give proper notice, but I did make sure to put up a thumbnail and a scheduled block on the YouTube channel, which will notify people kind of. If you come to my channel, it'll be sitting there like upcoming stream. And so I did that, and some people showed up, and it was fun. And I think that the video where I announced it published that day, even though I had kind of made up my mind a week before to do this. And so it was nice. It was nice having some people to chat with, and they, like, you guys can direct the video, ask questions, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about in the chat. I wish it could be like a video chat where everybody could be like in a Zoom meeting. Maybe I could do that. I could probably set something like that up using other software and then tie it back into a YouTube stream. I know that that's possible. I've seen people do that many times. So it could be cool. That could grow. That could get more interesting over time, I think. Let's see, what else? No commercials during the live stream. I decided to not do that because I don't have any control over it. The only thing I can do is dictate where they are in the stream, like every 15 minutes or something like that. But I can't just say one commercial at the beginning when someone logs in and then nothing. Because with a live stream, when an ad comes on, the stream keeps going. So if you get stuck watching an ad during the stream, then you miss out on whatever's being talked about. And that also reminds me, I have to switch from using Chrome as my primary browser because they're not letting you use ad blockers anymore. Like, they are actively going after, and even there were ways to override the Chrome. Chrome will automatically uninstall extensions for your browser that they don't want you to have. So they're basically setting up Chrome to not allow you to use an ad blocker because they don't want to lose because Google's the one that gets all the money from the ad revenue, so they don't want you blocking their ads across the internet anymore. And I talked about in the last video, Chrome is at least 70% of all internet traffic. So, but this could be the beginning of the end for them. I think, I don't know if, it's the rank and file, the people that really aren't tech savvy that dictate what is the most popular. But I do find it interesting that Microsoft Windows is like 80%, whatever I said in the previous video was accurate numbers, But my gut feeling says Microsoft Windows is 80% of all internet traffic. Mac is 5%, give or take. The rest is like Linux and other off-the-wall things, phone and mobile, but for desktop, it's 80% of all desktop traffic. That's my mistake, because Android is actually like 45-50% now of all internet traffic. But for the desktop computers, Windows is 80%, Mac is 5%. But Edge, the Edge browser that comes with Windows, Microsoft's web browser, is like 5%. So it's funny that the first thing that people, the rank and file, the average person who has a Windows computer, one of the first things they do is put Chrome on as their primary web browser, and they don't use Microsoft's web browser. And fine, I mean, Chrome is a better web browser than that. And there are things about Chrome that I like, but I definitely don't like this Big Brother bullshit where they're telling me I can't have plugins anymore. So I noticed yesterday, every time I went to YouTube, videos are automatically playing when I don't want them to. And I'm seeing ads all over the place when the ad blocker would stop that. So bye-bye Chrome. Today I gotta get in line with either see if I can run those extensions on Brave, make sure that's up to date. Maybe I'll use the Brave browser instead for my primary browser, or I'll use Firefox, one of the two. And then I'll just use Chrome when I have to. It's kind of nice though, because if I'm working on a client's website and I'm using Chrome as my development browser, that means all the other windows and all the random things I have open will be in another browser, so I can tab back and forth between applications. And I know that if I have Chrome selected as the front application in my stack for the day, then it's only going to show me the work that I'm doing. And I'm not gonna have to go between 20 different tabs to see other things that I want to look at. I can just Command tab to the next browser, which will have all my normal like email and whatever YouTube video I got up and watching and whatever other stuff. So Adam@litgood.com is my email address, and you can, if you want to reach me there, that's fine. And then Digital Chicken Bucket is donate.litgood.com. There's also ways in YouTube if you want to throw a couple bones in there. Free.litgood.com is my email list. I swear I've sent out 2 emails in the last year. So you won't get spammed, that's for sure. I don't got time for it. The photography store is shop.litgood.com, and if you just want to look at pictures, litgood.com. Any of the pictures that are on litgood.com in that main gallery on the homepage are available if you want a print. Just reach out to me, I can make them. I'm on X, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, and TikTok. All those links are below. You can check those out. I really haven't been. I have to get into a better rhythm. And it's just time. We're living in a weird time warp where everything's moving too fast. I can't keep up with it. Trying to figure out how to get past this. This is the month of April and May. My biggest problem, the boss at the end of level 4, I guess I'm on level 5 now? I don't know, but playing this video game of life, I was on level 4. The boss was the slumlord. Getting out of that tool shed that I was living in was, level 1 was living with the, what do you want to talk about? Level 1 was when I got out of prison. Level 2 was becoming homeless. Level 3 was living with my friend. Yeah, level 4 was the tool shed. Now I'm on level 5. So to beat the boss on level 4, I had to go to blows with the slumlord and get out of there and keep my sanity in check and everything. So that was the biggest one. Now, level 5 seems to be time management and figuring out how to get energy and time. Energy and time. It's like that's the challenge of level 5. If I can figure out how to structure my time so that I can get more things done and just kind of be efficient, that will get me to level 6. I don't know even what level 6 means when I get there. I think level 6 might be I'm comfortable in my home here. I have the furniture, I have the place set up, and I can just ride out the rest of the lease without any major problems, I guess. I don't really know. Level 6 might be, getting to a better place to live, having a better relationship with my kids, being able to have, like, maybe getting out of probation early. I don't know, like something. I don't even know what defines moving from level 5 to 6, but I feel like the boss of this level is figuring out how to manage the time better and how do I get the things done that I want to do when I don't have time to do them all. I just don't. So that's where I'm at there. Let's see, yesterday and today, I told you about this, I bought a uninterruptible power supply from Facebook Marketplace for $25. It just popped up. Sometimes I go to Marketplace and I just look what's close by, what's within a 3-mile, 5-mile radius of where I live. Just show me whatever you show me. I don't look for anything specific, just to see if I can get a good deal. I'm having some issues with keeping my floors clean. I found a cordless vacuum, a Ryobi cordless vacuum that takes the same Ryobi batteries that I already have at least 3 of. I've got a drill, I've got a tire inflator that I used to carry. I used to have 2 of them and I kept them in my vehicles. And I have the batteries. And so, like, this vacuum cleaner, it doesn't come with a battery, but I can pop one of the batteries I have onto it, and it's got a spinning brush, and it seems like it's a pretty powerful vacuum cleaner. The guy wants $25 for it. So the first thing I have to do is go look, is that even a good deal? Like, look on Amazon, look on Home Depot where they sell this crap. How much does this thing cost new? And it looks pretty new in the pictures. It looks clean. It doesn't look beat up. The guy was a little flaky. I sent him a message saying, yeah, I'm interested. Is it still available? And all I got is a thumbs up as a response. And I'm like, all right. Oh, here we got another message. Right. This guy's a flaky motherfucker. I said, I'm located in Spring and I can meet up just about any time this week. And then I said, well, he gave me thumbs up. And I'm like, okay, where are you located and where would you like to meet up? I am in Spring. He's also, I know, because that's what the thing said. Let's see what the zip code. Okay, he's on the other side of Spring. Not far from me. I would not want to do this on a day where I would not want to do this on a day where I have to go back and forth to work, mainly because I won't have room in a backpack to put this thing. I don't know how. I imagine that it would be I imagine this thing's not going to be easy to carry on a bicycle. Depending on where he is within this zip code, I mean, I could possibly schedule to meet this guy when I go maybe I can go get my hair cut at Supercuts, because I do need to get a haircut. Maybe I can meet this guy over where I get my hair cut, and just maybe he'll meet me in the parking lot there or something like that. And Or if he wants me to come to it, I don't know. It just seemed like a pretty good deal. I think he put a video of the thing in use. If the damn thing will even load. Yeah, he put a video up of it being used. And it looks very clean. It looks like it's almost new. It looks like it's a really nice vacuum cleaner. It would be a much better vacuum cleaner than what I currently have. And for 25 bucks, it would probably do a good job on these floors. These floors are, I like the floor here, but the color's wrong. Every little speck of dirt, dust, if you shed hair off of your body, anything shows up on this floor, like right out, stands right out. Anything, like all that, the floor is like just, you can't keep it clean. If I use a broom or if I use the little stick vacuum that I have, it's basically a dust buster with a handle and a little thing. It was like, that was $30 something at Target, and that was the cheapest vacuum I could get. And here I can get a cordless vacuum with a spinning brush and probably more suction power for $25. That seems like a good deal. I'm just gonna look, Home Depot. Ryobi vacuum. Come on. The Home Depot website's a piece of shit. It's a complete fucking piece of shit. Every time I go to the Home Depot website, whether I'm on my phone or whatever, oh my goodness, that thing's $199, but it comes with a charger and a battery for that much. How much is it just the tool? Can you get it just the tool to see what the price is? Tool only, what's that cost? Tool only, how much does it cost? $199 whether you get it without the battery or not. So $200 for this thing. 25 bucks, it almost seems it almost seems like it's a scam. He's got a video showing that it works. I mean, I don't know how small it breaks down. I know I can fit some of it in my backpack, but I don't know. This is kind of that's a good deal if I can get it for 25 bucks. So anyway, I'm gonna go back and forth with this guy. In fact, I'm just gonna all right, so I'll just see if I can get this guy to stop being flaky and give me an answer about where he wants to meet. 25 bucks to have a good vacuum cleaner would be a game changer here. Because when this happens every time I shoot a video, and it doesn't happen any other time. I don't understand it. Doesn't happen when I have a Zoom meeting with my client. I don't sit here going, I don't get it. When I vacuum the floors here with that little stick vacuum, or if I just go around with the broom and the dustpan to kind of sweep stuff up, 15 minutes go by and the floor looks like it's dirty again. Like there's just stuff everywhere. And I'm like, because there are specks of lighter colored dirt and dust that get everywhere that's lighter than the floor, and those stand right out. And anything darker than the floor also just stands right out. So you get the worst of both. Where if it was like a dark colored floor, the most of the dirt and dust and stuff wouldn't be like really visible. You would still want to sweep and keep the place clean, but it stands right out here. I mean, you just look around and you're like, man, that looks like shit. Whereas a dark colored floor, you don't notice it as much. But anything that's white, like sawdust colored, or just, you know, anything that's lighter than this bleach blonde fake wood floor, it just, everything stands right out. I've never seen a floor where dirt and dust just pop right out at you like this floor here. I would never get a floor this color ever again. If I had a choice building a place to live, that's in my mind now. Don't get this color of a floor. Go dark. Go darker. I like the lightness of it, and it does make the room brighter. The natural light combined with the color of the floor and the walls and the appliances and everything, it makes the space bright. And when I was living in that dark tool shed for 4 months, where it could be bright and sunny outside, and if I turned off my light, it's pitch black inside that tool shed, because I never once opened the window. I did not want to let that light in. I didn't want to see what the depressing stuff that was outside that window. And so, like, I'm actually like in that. It's like the exact opposite. I don't want curtains on the windows here except for the bedroom, because the bedroom's where I might be walking around, it's a bedroom. Coming out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around me. I don't want to be parading around in front of my neighbors. So I do want to get some curtains in there, and that's probably the next thing that I will do when I get paid. But when I see a $25 vacuum cleaner, for crying out loud, that would be $200, that looks like it's in good shape, as long as it's not a scam. But I mean, if I meet this guy in public, and do the swap or whatever, I'm not that worried about it. I haven't really been burned on Facebook Marketplace. I bought the uninterruptible power supply the other day, but it didn't work. The woman posted a video showing it working, but this was a really old one, so the battery inside of it probably wasn't going to be good in the first place. However, she got it to work for shooting a video to put it on Facebook. I don't know, but I let it charge overnight, and it had no power. As soon as you unplugged it from the wall, it turned right off. I was gonna test it by plugging my TV into it to see how long the TV would last. Couldn't even unplug it from the wall and have the thing stay turned on. It just died instantly. When I got the new battery was $25, and it had a higher power rating. The battery that it comes with, 7 amp hours. The battery I replaced it with, 9 amp hours. So it's a better UPS than it was when it was bought. So I got the new battery. It was $25 plus tax on Amazon. It showed up yesterday. It was supposed to be here Wednesday. It came on Monday. I was too tight. Batteries, these sealed lead acid batteries are heavy. They're like 10 pounds or some shit. I could barely carry it in the house after my bike ride on Monday. I was so tired. So I didn't even do anything with it until sometime yesterday when I was doing my laundry. I decided to may as well do this too, and I replaced the battery in the UPS. When I took the old battery out, I was like, holy shit. When I took the cover off, the inside of the battery compartment was full of white powder, and the battery was bulging out at the sides, and it was just in bad shape, real bad shape. The clips, the whole inside of the thing was fine, aside from the white dust, but I was able to blow that out. It just came out. And but no, this battery was done. This battery was dangerously bad. So the new battery, I put it in, I let it charge overnight, just plugged into the wall with nothing else plugged into it. And then today, the power went out at some point this morning, and it was out for like 2 minutes. I went outside to see if they were working on the power here at the neighbor's house, and it didn't see, they weren't. And the power came right back on. And so that reminded me, oh, I've got that thing I need to test out. So I unplugged the TV from the wall outlet, unplugged the power supply from the wall, plugged the TV into the power supply and turned everything on. And the TV, I was able to watch the TV for 56 minutes. 56 minutes until the TV just went pew off like it was unplugged. There was no warning from the UPS that the battery was going low. Maybe the thing would blink, but I thought it was supposed to start beeping at you and stuff when it gets towards the end of its juice. But no, it was just a sudden hard stop. It just stopped and shut off. But I got 56 minutes of a 43-inch TV. Watching a 43-inch TV for 56 minutes on that battery wasn't bad. I mean, I was almost an hour. And so that will last. That means that if the power goes out, once I hook it up here to my laptop and my hard drives, I should be able to get at least an hour during a power outage where my laptop and hard drives will still function. And then at some point, I'll just disconnect all the external hard drives if the power outage is going to last longer, because the MacBook has an internal battery that can last for a number of hours after the fact. And so if there's a 4-hour power outage, I might be able to just not even skip a beat and keep working on whatever it is I'm working on. And now that UPS works really well, I'm really interested in getting another one for my internet router, because according to Grok, that time estimate that my TV was supposed to last with this new battery was something like 45 minutes, and I got an extra 10 minutes. And Grok is estimating that my internet router, the T-Mobile router, will last 4 to 6 hours plugged into one of those, if that's the only thing plugged into it. So I should be able to, if I play my cards right and I find a good deal on one of those again. It's not high on my priority list, but if I find one, really, cheap, that's within a certain amount of distance from me, then maybe, oh my goodness, there's one for $7,500 that's like major. That thing probably weighs 1,000 pounds. Yeah, that's a little bit different than what I'm looking for, but no, I mean, $40. Here's one. I mean, they're cheap on Amazon as well. And if I were to get a better one than the one I have, plug that in for my computer stuff, and take this one that I just got, the used one, and plug my router into it, which is in another room, then I should be able to keep my setup up and running for 4 to 5 hours during a power outage, and like not skip a beat, even though the rest of the place won't have power. But I'll be able to keep going with whatever I'm doing and gradually shut things down if it's like, oh wait, no, now it's the end of the world, well, I can at least, I get like 4 hours to get my shit together before, the whole not having power thing really kicks in. And then I have a few other little tricks up my sleeve to keep my phone going for a couple of days. And so as a preparedness guy, I thought that was a good upgrade for my situation, for not a lot of money. And speaking of end of the world, somebody called Storm Chaser J on Facebook, I saw this random post yesterday. I was talking about the weather modification, that they're using weather as a weapon against the people of the world now. Between July 1st and July 14th this year, in 14 days, there's been 1,762 flash flood and flood warnings all over the United States, all the way from Texas across to Florida, up through the Carolinas, all over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. New York and New Jersey are going through it. Basically, all the way from Texas all the way up to Maine. Boy, yeah, that's normal. That happens all the time, right? 1,762 flash flood warnings and floods all over the United States in the span of 14 days. Even when there's a major hurricane moving across the United States that triggers flooding, I've never seen anything like this. Alongside this, a staggering number of 15 flash flood emergencies have been issued since the beginning of the month, translating into an average of 1 flood emergency every single day. These numbers are nothing short of mind-boggling. I didn't bother reading the comments. I mean, if you go to a Facebook post and you read the comments, it's just a bunch of assholes screaming and yelling at each other and making fun of each other and calling each other names. So I assume that was pretty much the same for that. But that's all I got for the weather modification front today. It's sunny here in Houston. I don't know if it rained yesterday. I don't think it did. I think it was sunny all day. It's sunny and warm today. You never know what's going to happen here, though. It can go from being bright and sunny to a massive thunderstorm in the blink of an eye. Like they come out of nowhere. You look outside, like one day at the bakery, I went into the bathroom, it was bright and sunny outside. I came out and it was a torrential downpour in the sky. I'm like, where did this even come from? I was only in the bathroom for 10 minutes. But they well up. They just kind of bubble up because of the heat. You know, if it's hot and humid, thunderstorms can just bubble up out of nowhere. You can have a bright, open, bright blue sky with no clouds, and all of a sudden, 15, 20 minutes later, it could be a thunderstorm. It's crazy like that. It's like that in Florida. You know, it's in the tropics. Now they're calling for dry days for the next, I don't know if I'm looking at come on, get the fuck out of here. Now I got this, another bunch of ads popped up at me. So just another reminder, you got to get rid of Chrome, homie, because Chrome is done. We're looking at, Saturday, of course. Yeah, just for my bike ride to the bakery, they're calling for afternoon thunderstorms on Saturday, but the rest of the week is supposed to be bright and sunny and clear. But these weather reports change day to day, so you can't believe it. You can get 6 different weather apps and look up Houston and they'll all say something different. You can't predict the weather here. You can say it's going to be hot and you'd be pretty accurate there. Other than that, nobody knows. But yeah, speaking of bike rides, I'm watching the Tour de France this morning. As I was warming up and drinking my coffee, I finished watching stage 7, but today was stage 11. So I'm 4 stages behind in the Tour de France, which is about as far behind as I would be if I was in the actual race. I would still be in the town that they were in 4 days ago trying to catch up, which means I would have been out of the race, but they average 30 something miles an hour even on a stage like today, which had hills, or Friday, whatever day it was, the one I watched today. Even on the hilly stages, now when they're in the mountains, That'll knock these motherfuckers down on their average speed a little bit. But they go so fast down the other side of the mountains that their average speed still might be 30 miles an hour at the end of the day. On stage 6 was freaking awesome. Stage 6 was a great race. The Metallica guy from America, his name is Quinn Simmons. I just call him Metallica dude. He actually pulled his hair back in like a man bun. He didn't do that for the time trial where everybody's trying to be aerodynamic and shit. He just showed up to the time trial with his Metallica hairdo, his mullet hanging out all over his shoulders, just blowing in the wind like a shampoo commercial. Everybody else has got these fucking goofy ass helmets on looking like Dark Helmet from Spaceballs, or just straight up looking like they got a penis on top of their head. Metallica dude just rocked it. He didn't give a fuck because he knew he wasn't gonna do a good time trial, so he's like, why do I even care? And so that was pretty funny to watch. But then on stage 6, he's got a man bun and he's got his hair all pulled back. It's time to watch this guy. He's up to something. He's up to something today. He wants to be aerodynamic today. So right at the beginning of the day, a breakaway takes off from the peloton and he's in it. And it took a long time. They were only like 10 to 30 seconds ahead of the peloton for a really long time, and then they finally got away. So they're like, by the time they got away, they were like a minute and a half ahead of the main peloton. And all the sprinters were 10 and a half minutes off the back of the peloton. The sprint guys, the sprint finish guys, the ones that can ride 50, 60 miles an hour on flat land because they're so strong and powerful, they fall apart as soon as the hills come into the play. And they're not multi-day race riders. For a single day race, like a big race that takes place in one day, those are the guys that might win. But with these long tours and shit like that, they don't do so hot. They have these, it's like the same as Usain Bolt wins the 100-yard dash, but put him in a 5-mile race, he'll come in last place. It's that same thing. There's one black dude in the Tour de France this year. You almost never see that. He's a sprinter. He's a sprint finish guy. He's the 100-yard dash guy. Cycling is one of those sports that not quite as bad as some others, but they're all the sports in the world have a world championship, okay? Track and field, that's a true world champion. There's nobody in the fucking world that can't afford to run unless you were born without legs or you're crippled or something. But nobody in the fucking world, in the entire world, everybody can run if you have legs and your body works. So everybody gets a chance. Every single kid in the entire world has a chance to be the fastest runner in the world. So when I see like the gold medal at the Olympics or the world championship or the it's the world champion. Soccer, that's a world championship game. Soccer, poor kids, poor people in the ghetto play soccer. Poor kids in like Mexico and, Latin America and Africa, everywhere on earth where there's poor kids, all they need is someone in the village to bring a ball. They don't even sometimes they don't even use a ball. They'll just use like a goat's head or something and kick it around. But they can play Pele, the greatest soccer player that ever lived. He used to play barefoot when he was a kid. And when the village bought him and all his friends some cleats, they couldn't play anymore because they didn't know how to run around the soccer field with cleats on their feet. And they fucked up and lost a bunch of games until they figured out how to run with shoes on. So soccer, if you're the world champion in soccer, every kid gets a chance to play soccer and kick a ball. And all you need is a couple of sticks to make a goal, or you draw a thing on the ground, or you put you say this is the goal. You put a bucket a big bucket, a 50-gallon drum tipped over. That's the goal. Whatever it is, you have a goal and a ball and a bunch of kids running around kicking the ball, or a goat's head, or some sort of like a bunch of clothes tied up in a ball, whatever. Like you can you can learn how to play soccer. Every single kid, every broke-ass slumdog millionaire kid in the world can learn how to play soccer and has a chance to be the world champion at soccer. So when I see the FIFA World Cup and I see the winners going like that, you're the best in the world. You are the best in the world. But then you got like these other sports like skiing. Now we're getting into like, okay, you're the world champion at skiing, but poor people don't get to ski. Poor kids don't get to learn how to ski. Kids that grew up in the equator, hot countries that don't have mountains, countries that never see snow, they don't get to learn how to ski. And then even in places where there are mountains and there is snow, only middle class and affluent and rich kids get to go skiing. Like skiing is, and to get to the world class level of skiing, you gotta start skiing when you're like 2 years old, and you gotta start winning ski races when you're like 4 years old against all the other rich 4-year-old kids whose parents can afford to take them skiing every fucking 3-4 times a week. And then maybe when you're like 20, 25 years old, you can be the world champion at skiing out of all the rich kids that got to ski. So you're the world champion, I get it, like that's great and everything, but the world champion, the champion of the world, no, you're like the champion of the rich kids that got to go skiing all the time. I mean, it's still hard to do, but I don't think you're the world champion anymore, okay? Now, let's talk about like a bobsled. How many fucking kids get to ride a bobsled? I've never been on a fucking bobsled. I've never even been to a bobsled track where you can ride a fucking bobsled. I don't even know where the fucking things are. That's a rich kid's sport. How many fucking kids are gonna get a bobsled for Christmas this year? How the fuck do you even learn how to bobsled? How do you learn how to drive a fucking bobsled? And you, like any other athletic sport, you gotta start when you're young or you're never gonna have a chance. Where are these fucking kids that get bobsleds for Christmas and then mom and dad take them to the fucking bobsled racetrack to learn how to be a bobsled racer so that you can be the world champion someday? So if you're the world champion and you get the gold medal in bobsled, that don't mean a fucking thing. It really doesn't. It means like you're the world champion out of 20 rich asshole kids who got bobsleds for Christmas last year. Big fucking deal. Like no other, like 30 kids in the whole fucking world get to learn how to be in a bobsled. But you get to be the world champion because you're one of the richest 30 kids in the world that just, oh, I got a bob. Oh, what did you get for Christmas? I got some socks, a couple of outfits. I got a couple of video games. What did you get? I got a bobsled. Woo! I got a bobsled for Christmas. Want to come see me ride my bobsled? No, not really. Have fun. Have fun with mommy and daddy at the bobsled track next weekend. Where the fuck? Like I said, I don't even know. If I bought my kid a fucking bobsled for Christmas, where the fuck would I even take him to ride on it? How the fuck does that work? Yeah, so if you're the world champion bobsledder, you're the best out of the 30 rich assholes who got bobsleds for Christmas when they were kids. That's it. That's nothing. Hockey. That's a little bit... Hockey is not impossible to get into, but it's an expensive sport. It's kind of like skiing. Kids that are poor don't really get to play hockey because you got to get ice skates and you got to get sticks and pads and helmets and all this shit. But you don't have to be rich either. Like there are communities around hockey that will help kids get into that if that's what they want to do. But it's not like a sport you can play in school usually. High school doesn't really have hockey teams, not many. Rich kid high schools probably do, but not like normal poor people high schools. If you're the world champion at basketball, that's another one. Like soccer, anybody can play just about. Basketball is probably a little bit harder to get into because you got to be somewhere where you can bounce a ball. You know, it's hard. You can play soccer anywhere, but can you bounce a basketball on some grass? Can you bounce a basketball on sand? Can you bounce a basketball on some fucking dirt? Not very well. So you can hang a basket in a tree and throw balls at it and shit if you're poor, but it's not really going to get you into the NBA. So you got to have a basketball court. If you grow up in a fucking ghetto like in Harlem or somewhere in New York City, there's basketball courts all over the fucking place, so you can get your game on, and you could rise up through the ranks if you're good. Someone will notice that shit and give you a chance. Basketball is another one that track and field, come on, you can run. Every kid on earth gets a chance to run fast, and then they see somebody run. Hey, he ran really fast. Let's put him on a track and see what he does. And then, holy shit, you'd be the national champion of Zimbabwe. Go to the Olympics and get a gold medal. Any day, every kid gets a chance to run. So I have more respect for real world champions. Cycling is kind of one of those sports like skiing. You kind of have to be, you don't have to be rich, but you got to have parents that got you a nice bike and got you into that shit when you were young, or you don't have a chance. Most parents, when they buy their kid a bicycle, what do? They go to Walmart, they get some sort of fucking Huffy or whatever. If you're a lucky kid, you got a bike from the bike shop. Sometimes kids grow up in a neighborhood near a BMX track and they can get into BMX racing at a young age. I could have got my son into BMX racing. He really wasn't interested in it. I got him started on a mountain bike. I told him, I said, if you want to do BMX racing, I'll get you a bike, I'll get you into it. He really was like, didn't really like. So I was like, I'd push it on him. But he liked to go on bike rides and stuff, he just didn't want to, he didn't want to get into all the racing. But, so BMX racing, if you're a young kid, that can propel you into the elite mountain biking. That's a good springboard for that. But you gotta have a nice bike to race. It doesn't have to be top of the line. That $300 bike I just bought, that Specialized bike, would be a great entry-level bike for a kid to get into racing. Certainly, because the bike doesn't make a huge... it's like skiing. If you know what you're doing, you can go skiing on the cheap. But it's an investment, and poor people usually don't. They're not getting nice bikes for Christmas. They're not getting skis, that kind of shit. So the Tour de France is usually a bunch of upper-middle-class white guys racing across France, and it's an endurance sport. So I'm not being racist, but when you watch the Olympics, all the sprint races, the 100-yard dash, the 200, the 300, whatever, what color are all the runners? They're all dark. When you get into the 2-mile race, the 1,000 meter, the 2,000 meter, the 10,000 meter, whatever, all of a sudden it's a bunch of skinny white dudes. I don't know. That's genetics, I guess. So you don't really see a black guy in the Tour de France. That's a rare sight, and there's one in there, and he's winning. He's already won the green jersey in previous Tour de France's. So he's a good sprinter. He's fast, and he'll fuck your shit up. But yesterday he was 10-15 minutes off the back of the peloton because the sprinters, whether you're white or black or whatever color you are, you can't keep up with the endurance riders on these long 200, 120 mile long hilly bike rides. But even I can't even keep up with them. They're 15 minutes off the back of the race I wouldn't even be able to keep up with that shit. I'd be 2 days behind, still trying to catch up. So that just tells you what you're dealing with. So the stage 6, it was fun to watch. Metallica dude. Even if Metallica dude won, he would have been like 20 minutes behind the yellow jersey. So sometimes people go to the Tour de France with hopes of just winning one stage in the 21 stages that they have. Just winning one stage makes you a famous bicyclist. Like, that's an accomplishment. Like, that's almost like being a world champion. That's that level of competition, just to win a stage. But it's fun to watch the Tour de France. Even when you're not paying, even when the bicycle race is boring, the countryside, the scenery is insane. And all across the country of France during the tour, you'll see artwork on the side of the road, like farmers will cut bicycles out of cornfields and shit like that, and they'll make big giant signs out of their farm fields. They'll stack up hay bales and they'll make sculptures and all kinds of stuff, because when the helicopter comes flying by, they want to see their thing on TV. 3 billion people watch the Tour de France. 150 million watch the Super Bowl. So this is like a big deal for them. Like, France, it's the fucking Super Bowl for them. It's the biggest thing that happens in their country every year, and they get into it. And so I found out these farmers, there's an art contest. So the competition in the Tour de France isn't even just the bicyclists. There's cash and prizes to pass around to everybody. So all these farmers that put this art in their fields and make these displays to be on TV when the helicopter comes, it's a contest. It's a nationwide contest that France sponsors, and all the people that participate get a free trip to Paris, and they get all kinds of they get like a whole day around it. And then there's a winner, and the winner of the farm, side of the road art contest wins a great big prize of some kind, and they get, national recognition and a trophy and all the other crap. And it's not every year that the Tour de France is going to go by your property. It may only happen once in a span of 100 years or 50 years or 30 years. Sometimes the route goes up the same hill every single year, or just like 7 out of 10 years in a row. But some of these back roads and stuff, it might be a once in a lifetime thing to have the Tour de France come by your house, And so I think they should have best roadside costume contest. Like, I don't know if they do that, but they should, because you got millions of people lining the side of the road. If you watch a stage of the Tour de France, it's 5 hours long. Almost every single inch of the road for 120 miles is lined with people cheering. Like, imagine being in a 120 mile long bicycle race day after day after day after day, and you can't even pull over to the side of the road to take a piss without a crowd of people being around you. Like, they gotta hide their wieners, but it's France. So, France is cool with people just peeing wherever they want. That's a cultural thing, but you can't even find a place to go take a leak, because the whole 120 miles of the race is lined with people cheering. And it gets crazier and crazier as you get towards the finish line. And any place that there's a climb, forget about it. There's so many people that they fill the street and they fill the road, and they make it so that the bikers have a hard time getting by. They'll get right in your face. Bernard Hinault, French guy who won the Tour de France 5 times, climbing up the famous Alpe d'Huez in the Alps. He had to get off of his bike and punch a couple of people to get them out of his fucking way, because they were blocking the road and they wouldn't let him go by, so he fucking decked them. I'm like, that's beautiful. That was back when they didn't even wear helmets. him and Greg LeMond were teammates. Greg LeMond was his helper, and then Greg LeMond was like, fuck this shit, I'm winning it now, and beat him. And they had beef over that. They parted ways, and then Greg LeMond won it a couple times. Greg LeMond was in a hunting accident. He got shot with a 12 gauge, and he still got pellets in him from that, but he lived, and he missed out on some bicycle races, but he came back and won the Tour de France again. So that's crazier than Lance Armstrong losing one of his balls to cancer, but the only reason he got cancer in the first place is because of all the juice and the doping that he was doing. So, Greg LeMond's a beast. But speaking of Lance Armstrong, he's making $1 million. He's back in the game now. He's on his, I'm sorry, he got put in timeout for a number of years, and now he's back. He's doing commentary. He's doing a podcast that takes place after every stage of the Tour de France. And NBC is not paying him. I looked this up because I had to see it. NBC is not paying him directly, but they promote his podcast over and over while the stage is going on. And they say, for more coverage, go see the podcast with Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie after the race today. Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie were teammates together, and they were both cheating, and they both got all of their wins stripped from them and humiliated. George Hincapie was like the water boy for Lance Armstrong. He's the one who grabbed the food bags and the water bottles and shit and pass them out to the teammates. And they let him win a couple of stages here and there, but he wasn't as strong of a rider, even though he was juicing. But, I mean, Lance Armstrong, don't tell me cheaters never win. It's such bullshit. Cheaters win. Cheaters win all the time. Look at Joe Biden. Cheated, and he won. He got to pretend to be president for 4 years. He didn't even know what fucking day it was. He had to be reminded 10 times a day that he's the president. It was like watching my grandmother at the fucking nursing home tell me over and over again that I look just like my great-grandfather. And then after she gets done telling that story, she tells the same story all over again, and we all sit around going, oh, wow, yeah, really? Like, we just pretend like it's the first time she's telling the story. But in the hour-long visit at the nursing home, I heard the same story 6 times. But, the first time, that's okay, but the next 5 times, we all just sat around pretending like it's the first time we've ever heard this story. Just to make her, just to make her final days more comfortable. That's what it was like watching Joe Biden be fucking president. Like shaking hands with fucking ghosts and sniffing little girls' hair and all the creepy shit that fucking guy was doing. He won. He was a cheater. He won. Lance Armstrong, he's making millions of dollars now because he cheated in the Tour de France then. He's living in a mansion on a lake. He can ride the $30,000 bike that the Tour de France winner has. He has all the shit. He's banging porn stars every day. He's doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's living his best life. Don't tell me don't tell me cheat. I have no fucking problem if you're gonna cheat to win. I got no problem with that. Do it. Cash and prizes. Get it. Get it while the getting's good. Who cares at this point? People forgave him. They're forgiving him now. Granted, when he was riding in the Tour de France, they said that you would have to go to like 110th to 115th place just to find the first guy who wasn't cheating. And maybe he was doing something else to cheat, but it wasn't drugs. I don't know. In fact, when one of Lance's teammates, one of the ones that ratted him out, and when the snowball started rolling down the hill, when Floyd Landis lost his yellow jersey at the end of the tour after he had won and got thrown under the bus, he was like, fuck it, I'm bringing everybody else with me. And he started ratting out everybody who was cheating. He's like, fuck it, if you're going to throw me under the bus, I'm going to throw all you motherfuckers with me. Good, I would have. I would have been a rat. Fuck it, man. At that point, if nobody has my back, fuck it, man. If you're all going to throw me under the bus like I'm the only one who ever cheated in the Tour de France, we're going to set the record straight. And he did. One of Lance's teammates, Frankie Andreu, he didn't want to cheat anymore when he was Lance's teammate because he had a bitchy ass wife who basically wears the pants in his relationship and domineers over him. He came in something like 115th place when he stopped cheating, and so Lance fired him for it. But it was because his wife wouldn't let him cheat anymore. If you ever watched any documentary about the Lance Armstrong story, his wife talks about it more than he does. Frankie Andreu will talk, but his wife gets up in there and like talks over him and doesn't even let him fucking talk. Like, she's a total fucking bitch. Just a bitchy ass, domineering, fucking pain in the ass wife. Like, maybe he would have had better cash and prizes if he didn't have her wasn't dragging her around the tour with him. I would have said peace out on that one. But you just see it. Watch one of these documentaries, and when you see his wife show up and start talking, you can sit back and just be like, oh yeah, she's a total fucking bitch. Oh, what a horrible wife that would be. I mean, maybe there's something in it for him, but I couldn't figure it out when I was watching these documentaries. I was like, holy shit, get rid of her. But anyway, she got mad at him for winning a stage or doing really well one day because she knew he was cheating, because she's like, normally my husband really fucking sucks and he can't keep up with these guys, and all of a sudden he's leading the race and everybody's cheering him on, and I'm just sitting there going, Frankie's gonna be in so much trouble when he gets home tonight because I know he's fucking cheating. Like, fuck, man, get a new wife. Get a new wife. Oh, gee, it really fucking sucks that I'm putting all the food on the table and paying for this fucking mansion we live in and whatever else, I'm the one bringing home the fucking money. You're just sitting on the sidelines bitching me out every time I cross the finish line. Yeah, that's a real good, that makes it really worthwhile. I'm glad I put in the effort today. But anyway, this on stage 6, the breakaway. It was so much fun to watch. They got up to 3 minutes ahead of the whole peloton at some point, and there was a guy in the breakaway who could end up in the yellow jersey. The sprinters were like 11 minutes back at this point. They're on a fucking Sunday cruise. They don't give a fuck. If they end up 40 minutes behind the peloton, there's a car sitting there. If you end up behind that car, you're disqualified. There's a limit. There's a moving time limit along the road. And if you fall back behind that car, you're done. Go home. Turn around and ride your bike back home because it's over for you. So eventually the breakaway got up to 8 riders, and they were like 3.5 minutes ahead of the peloton, which was amazing to watch. Like, they were attacking all day long. Every time there was a points contest somewhere along the race, they were going all out just to get every little point. It was crazy to watch. And then this dude on the bottom of a climb with 3 climbs left to go, this Irish guy, Ben Healy, takes off. He was in the back of the lead group, and out of nowhere on the downhill, he just goes zoom, and he like passes everybody and just takes the fuck off. And everybody in the group is looking around going, what the fuck? And then nobody wanted to chase him and help chase him down. And this dude gets 2 minutes on them, and he's way the fuck out in front. And so the guy in the main group, his name is Matthew Vanderpool. He'd already been in the yellow jersey. He's looking like he might get back in the yellow jersey. The sprinters, they're like 17 minutes off the back now. And Metallica dude, America, America dude with the big flag jersey and the fucking heavy metal mustache. The dude that looks like he was a roadie for Metallica last month and jumped off the... He looks more like Metallica than Metallica does now. So, it was like he took some time off from their world tour to go race in the Tour de France. And so now he's trying to catch this dude from Ireland because this is like he's trying to win the stage to give the USA a win. And so he's trying to get everybody to catch this Irish dude, but this fucking Irish guy was like, see ya. And here's the thing, I got more respect for this dude Ben Healy. He's a cool motherfucker in my book now, because the story goes he started out as a mountain biker, so it means he's a cool dude already. He's not one of these road biking dickheads. He started out as a mountain biker, so he's all right. He got kicked off of the British mountain bike team or something like that. Like, I don't know what happened. They didn't really get into it. But his dad was an Irish citizen, so he switched his passport and became Irish, and now he races for Ireland. And he hates Great Britain. He fucking hates the British. He's just another Irish guy who hates the fucking British. And I'm like, fuck yeah. You're a cool motherfucker. Any Irish person who hates the British is always cool in my book. They're all, because fuck the British. The British, they should just get the fuck out of Ireland and everywhere else that they rub their, they had this whole world, global empire, and they just need to be culled back down into their little tiny island. Get out of Scotland, get out of Ireland, get out of everywhere. Just shit, go the fuck away. Britain fucking sucks, man. That place is worse than the Soviet Union now. You can go, if you're an illegal immigrant in Great Britain, you can rape women and get community service. And then if you are a British citizen who posts on Twitter about how you don't like women being raped by immigrants, you'll get 10 fucking years in prison for a tweet. I thought it was bad here when I got 2 years in prison for fucking tweets. But no, if I was in Britain, I'd get like 10 years for a tweet. If all I'd have to do is complain about the government, and they'll give you 10 years in prison for that shit now. But if you're an immigrant and you want to rape women, you don't even go to jail. You get community service for rape. What I just told you, what the words that just came out of my mouth, if I was in Britain right now, they'd be showing up to my house to take me to prison. And they'd probably give me 7 to 10 years for what I just said. That's how fuck Britain. This dude, Ben Healy, you're cool. You're a cool motherfucker. He's Irish. He hates the British. He's racing for Ireland. He hates Great Britain. Fuck yeah. You're on my team now. I'm rooting for you. 26 miles from the finish line is when he made his move, and that was crazy. And then when he won the stage that day. He went up all 3 of the remaining climbs way the fuck ahead of everybody. He crossed that finish line. He was one of the dudes that could raise his arms in the air 50 feet from the finish line, because even if he fell off his bike, he'd still be able to get back on the bike and ride across the line and not be humiliated like those memes that you see. When he came across the finish line, they came up to him with the video cameras like, how do you feel? He's like, man, that hill made me fucking work for this. And I'm like, yeah, this dude's the fucking man. He's cool as fuck. They couldn't even cut out the curse words from the feed because they didn't have it on a delay or whatever. And then Phil Liggett's there, oh, we're really sorry that all of our listeners had to hear that. I'm like, don't apologize. This dude's a cool motherfucker. That hill made me fucking work for it, in his Irish accent. Have yourself a fucking Guinness and a smile, my friend. That was the best bike race I've seen in forever. And then Metallica dude shows up with the rest of that group, and comes in second place. And he wasn't going to take less than second place, so he really worked for it. He out-sprinted the rest of that group. But when they interviewed him after the stage, he was like, look, he's like, if you ain't first, you're last. You know, like, that's not his exact words, but that's what he said. He's like, nobody remembers who came in second place. And he was just like, whatever. Like, that was his day to try and win a stage for America. He came in second. If that group had finished together and Ben Healy had not jumped off the front and got way ahead, he might have won, because he had that look in his eye, but he just couldn't catch that. He couldn't catch him when they all got taken by surprise on the downhill when that dude and when he took off, Ben Healy, he took the fuck off. I mean, it was like, holy shit. I was like, holy shit, look at that. And he was gone, like 30 seconds to a minute ahead of them, lickety split, like that. Like they didn't even have time to know what the fuck just happened. And he came off of the back. He surprised. He was just. It was a sneaky little move at the right time, and he had enough speed, and he just went, "I'm out of here. See ya." Tadej Pogacar, the golden child, the one who's probably going to win, the one who wins all the time. He's got an arch rival, at least. This guy Jonas Vingegaard. Who won the Tour twice. Tadej has won it 3 times. So they're going back and forth with their Tour de France wins. So it's nice to not just see a guy like Lance Armstrong where he's like, well, Lance is here, he's going to win, may as well just give him the trophy now. You know, it's like 7 years in a row. Lance. The 5 years before that, Miguel Indurain. Before that, it was some other dude, you know, and just they all... At least now, with the Tour de France, there's more variety. I think, you know, they must have culled some of the cheating out, because now there's a little bit of competition, and it's actually fun to watch. Like, I really got out of watching cycling after the whole doping thing went down. I was just like, I'm not really interested anymore. And it was kind of like, when I was really young, I wanted to be a bike racer. You know, I thought, oh, that would be... And then I started getting into bike races, and I realized that, well, I probably don't have a chance. But I did have a chance in certain specialties, like mountain biking. I was a pretty good mountain biker. Downhill. Downhill racing didn't get batshit crazy when I was in my teens. It was still kind of a normal, like... Downhill mountain bike racing now is like way crazier than it was when I was young. So, but that could have been something. I don't know. Like, I dabbled in it, and then I was like, all right, time to go to art school and do that. Find a career. But then it was like after the Lance Armstrong and the whole doping scandal, it was kind of like, I just sat back one day and I'm like, I never had a chance to be a pro cyclist. I never had a chance to even win. Like, all these people were juicing up when I was a kid. Like, even the local fucking, you know, the Woodlands Douchebag Classic, they're all juicing up to win that fucking trophy. So, like, I couldn't afford drugs. I didn't grow up. I could barely afford a fucking bicycle, let alone going to see the sports doctor to get my fucking testosterone and my EPO and my blood doping on and all that shit. Fuck, man, I could barely afford a bicycle and some good shoes. So, yeah, that wasn't in the cards. That wasn't in the cards, and but then I lost interest. I didn't want to watch the races anymore. And now I'm like, now I don't even care. Fuck them, cheat, put a motor in the bike. I don't care at this point. It's fun to watch. If they get caught cheating, I'll be like, good job! You did your best. Now go live your best life like Lance. So we got, you know, Tadej pulled back almost all the time from the breakaway. That breakaway that got so far ahead on the last climb of the stage, the main peloton almost clawed all the way back to the front. In fact, the dude in Vanderpool or whatever his name is, the guy who had a chance to get the yellow jersey back because he was in that breakaway, he got back the yellow jersey by 1 second. Tadej Pogačar came rolling in, sprinting with his arch rival to the finish line, and he was 1 second behind the yellow jersey. So that dude who wasn't expected to have the yellow jersey at all, he got to wear it again. And by 1 second. So he wasn't that far ahead. And they're not really counting him as having any chance in hell of keeping it. But it's fun to wear. When you wear the yellow jersey for a day, you get cash and prizes. You get bonuses. There's going to be photos of you all over the world wearing your yellow jersey. It's a big deal. It's like winning a world championship event. There's money on the line for all this shit. Money, bonuses, money, money, pussy, drugs, wine, all of it. There's tons of motivation just to win one stage at the Tour de France. Winning one stage makes you more famous worldwide than winning a Super Bowl, let alone winning the whole Tour de France. We have a guy from the USA, Jorgensen. He's in 6th place after the 6th stage. They went 125 miles in 4 hours and 25 minutes. Like, fuck, man. That's like my 50-mile ride to and from the bakery takes me, hold on, 145, 3.5 hours. It takes me 3.5 hours to go 50 miles when I go to the bakery and back, and it's all flat. And these guys went 125 miles with some serious climbs in 4 hours and 25 minutes. Like, just do the math. That's fucking crazy. Stage 6 was fucking awesome. The whole race, from beginning to end, the whole 4 hours and 25 minutes was fucking fantastic to watch. Plus the next 10 minutes of watching the people come across the finish line. But like cheating, there's all kinds of dirty shit going on in this game. It's fun to pay attention to it because it's a dirty sport. Tadej Pogačar, the leader, he was down by 1 second. His arch rival tried to keep him in the yellow jersey. So that's why they sprinted really hard at the end of the race. His arch rival took the fuck off, and then he had to stay with him. And they tried to keep his enemy tried to keep him in the yellow jersey, because then if you're wearing the yellow jersey at the end of the race, you got to go do a piss test. You got to like lift up your bib and pull your pants down and have your wiener hanging out while 10 fucking dudes are staring at you, and you got to pee into a fucking cup or a bowl or something like that. And then you got to go and do all these interviews, and you got to go and do all this shit. And then like half an hour to an hour later, you got to go to the award ceremony and get your jersey put on the stage and lift your arms in front of the crowd. And then you got to go do some more interviews, and you got to do all this other shit. And so you're late. You're going to be late coming back for the team dinner. You're going to be, you got like an extra 2 hours of shit you got to do all of a sudden because you're wearing the yellow jersey, and press conferences and all that stuff. And so you're not going to get your massage. You're not going to get your rest time. You're not going to get to go back to the team bus and relax for a bit and to get to the hotel and all that stuff. So that's an actual tactic. They were trying to keep him in the yellow jersey so that he'd be more worn out for the next day. Because when he lost the yellow jersey, the polka dot jersey, and the green jersey, so he didn't have to go to the award ceremonies. He was just like, see ya, I'm out. Got on the fucking tour bus and went back to chill time right after the race. So that was an actual tactic. Keep him in the yellow jersey, that way he has to go through all this fucking shit for the next 2 hours while his enemy gets to go home and sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a dirty game. They'll do anything. They'll do anything in order to win. They'll do all the dirtiest shit you can imagine. Any little fucking dirty trick that you can pull is gonna get pulled. It's funny to watch. But here we got Dave Gass, one of my homies on the channel, likes to comment on every video. And we cool. Peace out, brother. He says, when you talked about cheating to be successful, it really made me think. My answer is honestly no. My pride and honor mean too much to me. I love music, baseball, and football. If they could give me a pill to be a professional in any of those things and make millions a year, I would not do it. Yeah, you would. If you could take that pill and it would fix all your back pain, you were talking about having back surgery and not being able to do your job anymore. If you could take a pill that would make you be able to do your job again, you'd do it. If you could take that pill and make your back pain go away, you'd do it. And if that pill just happened to make you a wonderful musician where you can jam on the guitar better than Jimmy Page, get yourself become a rock star, why wouldn't you want to cheat to be a rock star? Like, it's not even cheat. They're not gonna take away your guitar if you made it all the way to being the, like Buckethead when he was with Guns N' Roses. They didn't take his guitar away for cheating. They didn't make Slash give up his guitar because they caught him smoking weed before a show and getting drunk. Like, they don't, like, how do you cheat in the music business? Like, is there I guess if you're a rapper, like if I was a rapper and I was recording my album, I'd have the verses, my bars, I'd have them written down and I'd be reading them into the microphone. Is that cheating? If the album comes out really good, I'm still gonna have to memorize that shit in order to go on tour when I get popular and whatnot. But if I'm in the studio recording an album, is it cheating to have my bars written down? Does Eminem do that? Eminem might do. I don't know if he does, but I know he's got a journal and he writes down all his rhymes and shit. Does he take, when he goes to hook up with Dr. Dre in the studio and gets his beats from Dr. Dre, does he read his lyrics or does he have them memorized? And would it even be cheating if he brought a piece of paper with him? I saw George Carlin. I saw George Carlin at the Benedum Center on one of his last tours before he died. And he told the audience, I'm just practicing for my HBO special. I don't give a fuck about Pittsburgh. And so he picked up a pile of papers and he just started going, oh, here's one. And he started reading his jokes from a fucking notepad. That he had a stool with a bottle of water and a stack of papers. And he was just picking up his papers and reading his fucking jokes off of a sheet of paper. And I was like, oh, I thought that was hilarious. Because all he did was talk about how much he hates Pittsburgh and how he doesn't give a shit and how he's just practicing for his HBO special when he goes to New York and he's trying to see which jokes work and whatnot. He's like, I don't care how this show turns out. He's like, you've already paid. It was like, and kind of the funny thing is that, well, a bunch of us that were there, we didn't pay to go. We were supposed to, but we didn't, and it ended up being a freebie for us, but that's a long story. But, so maybe that was cheating too. Maybe I cheated to go see George Carlin. I was supposed to pay, but I didn't, and I never had to, so it turned into a gift for all of us that were there, not just me. But it wasn't supposed to be that way. So was that cheating? I don't know, was George Carlin cheating by reading his jokes off a piece of paper while he was doing a comedy routine in front of us? I wish we had cell phones, but they wouldn't let you break out a fucking cell phone in a place like that and record it. But yeah, you'd fucking take that pill. Don't tell me you wouldn't take that pill. I don't even know how they cheat in the Tour de France anymore. I don't. The drug testing, it's crazy. Like I said, after the race, if you win the stage and you're in the yellow jersey and then they pick other random people, you got to go into a booth right away. I guess it's like right off the bat, you got to go into this booth and lift up your bib and pull your pants down and show your ding-a-ling to 20 fucking dudes with all these mirrors around you, and then they hold a bowl in front of your nut and you got to drop your piss in there. Like what happens if I just rode my bike 125 miles today at an average speed of 30 fucking miles an hour? Maybe I don't have to pee right now. Like, what happens if you don't have to pee? I don't know. Do you lose the Tour de France because you couldn't pee 15 minutes after the race? I don't know. I don't know how it works. But the Lance Armstrong was doing all the dope and everything else, but he was also doing something called blood doping. So what they do is, a lot of the racers already do this before the Tour de France. They go someplace high in the mountains. It could be Colorado. It could be Argentina. It could be the Alps. It could be somewhere in high elevation. Tens of thousands of feet elevation, and they train. It might be the middle of summer, and they've got snow everywhere, and they train for about a month, sometimes longer. And what happens is, at the high altitude where the air is less dense, your blood has to generate more red blood cells in order to absorb the oxygen that you need. And so they'll train at altitude right before the Tour de France, and then they show up on the first day of the Tour de France with all these extra blood cells from training at altitude. And that's not illegal to do. They can't tell you where you're allowed to train and practice. But Lance and the gang, they would go to the high altitude and train, and then they would take their blood out of their body and put it in baggies. And then they would keep training and training and training and get their blood back. And then they'd take out some more blood and put it in some bags and keep that shit in the cooler. And then during the Tour de France, as their red blood cell count is starting to go down and down and down, some dude on a motorcycle shows up with all these bags of blood, and they all go into a fucking room and they needle in and they start putting all the blood back into their body that they took out. So now their blood cell count is going up through the roof again. And so they're injecting their own blood back into themselves. And how do they even test for that? If it's your own blood in the first place and you're just putting it back, you're taking it out and putting it back in like it's a bank account. How do you even test for that? They do have a few tests for that, but they're not reliable. And even with EPO and steroids and some of these other drugs, the testing window is so small that even if they test you after the race, they might not catch you. Because it's like drug testing is mainly to catch people that smoke weed. Because weed will stay in your body for it can stay in your body for 3 fucking months. Usually it's gone in a couple of weeks. If you smoke weed every day and you stop for 2 weeks, it might be undetectable by then, but depending on circumstances, you might need a month to get rid of it. And some people need to go 3 months without smoking weed before they have a clean drug test for weed. But pretty much every other fucking drug on earth is gone within 24 to 48 hours. So when I met people in jail who were there because they were on probation and they failed a meth test, meth is gone in 24 hours. And these people knew that they'd have a drug test on Monday. Because it would always be the same day every week. They'd have to call a number, and if their color came up, they'd have a color code. And if your color comes up, you've got to go in and take a piss test. So it's kind of like a lottery, but it's always going to be on Monday. So you can do meth on Friday and go in on Monday, and you're fine. You're going to be clean. But these motherfuckers would do meth on Sunday night and then find out they lost the lottery on Monday, and they'd go in and fail their drug test and end up back in jail for doing meth. And I'm like, holy fuck. You couldn't just fucking chill until Monday afternoon? Go drop your piss in the bucket and come back and do your meth. There you go. You could do meth Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Take the weekend off. I know the weekend is probably where you really want to get high, but dude, I mean, come on. Cocaine, meth, crack, all those drugs gone. 48 hours, you're not going to get caught. Weed is the one that you always get caught. I knew a bunch of people who ended up back in prison because they were on probation and they failed a weed test, but usually they failed it anywhere between 5 to 10 times, and then the probation officer was like, all right, after like the 10th time, I gotta send you back to prison, dude, or at least take you to the judge and let the judge decide. So I don't know how they cheat anymore in the Tour de France, but they hide motors inside the bikes. They take infrared photos of the bicycles now after the race, to see if there's any abnormal heat coming from different parts of the bike. And they've caught people with hidden motors inside the bikes by doing that. They'll x-ray the bicycles. They'll do things. They're looking for hidden motors because the motors have gotten so small. I was talking about a Ryobi vacuum cleaner, okay? You got that battery, the Ryobi battery. Now, what's inside that battery are cells, and they can be arranged in different ways. But the motor from a Ryobi drill and a battery pack that you could reform into a different shape could be hidden inside of a seat post on a bike, and that would give you enough power to beat everybody in a hill climb. Like, I could probably beat some of these pro riders up a steep hill in the Tour de France if I had a Ryobi drill motor hidden in my bicycle with a battery pack that could keep it going for the length of the hill. And so now that's a lot of dead weight to carry around on your bicycle all day long, but when you get to that hill, if you can turn on the juice and go up the hill and beat all those motherfuckers and you're not spending any energy to do it, you could cross the finish line like that without any effort. So they know this. And for a pro level rider to add an extra pound to their bike in exchange for having a hidden motor, they'll do it. There's other dirty tactics that they use and trickery. Some of it's legal, some of it's not. Back in the day, in the early days of the tour, like in the early 1900s, racers would pay people in the crowds on the side of the mountain to beat the shit out of certain riders as they're coming up the hill. Even if you can throw a wrench in the logistics of another team, their transportation and their logistics, that can help you. One of the teams, I think it was the team of one of the contenders, had 10 of their bicycles get stolen on the first day of the Tour de France. 5 of them were found hidden in the woods somewhere. Now imagine that. That's a disruption. If all the riders on the team have to ride a spare bike and not their primary bike on the second day, and then they don't even have a backup bike to that because the primary bikes were stolen. I mean, they do have lots and lots of spare bikes on these teams, not just the ones that they carry on those cars, but they have like tractor trailers full of equipment and bikes, parked at the hotel and shit like that. So they can get extra bikes, but fuck it, man. If everybody's gonna cheat, I'm gonna cheat. Fuck it, man. That's how you gotta win. I'll sign up for every single thing you got. Everything you got, I'll sign up to cheat my way to the top of the mountain in the Tour de France. You can give me all the dope. Where do I get the testosterone, the EPO? Take me to Nepal for a month to go hang out by Mount Everest and draw my blood out every other day and put it in some bags so that you can shove it back in my arm when we're in the tour. All the drugs. Give me the weed. I want to take a big bong hit before that fucking... You take a big bong hit before you go on a 125 mile bicycle ride. That's going to be a hell of a lot more comfortable than, that's going to get you through the day. It's going to give you other things to think about, and the pain, it's going to do a lot for the pain. It's going to take away the pain. Give me the ibuprofen, the weed, the EPO, the testosterone. Give me the extra blood bag. Think about it. In the snowboarding competition in the Olympics, all those snowboarders are high as fuck. Like they all tested positive for weed, and then the Olympics were like, fuck it, never mind. You can keep your medals, because we'd have to take they wouldn't be able to give out any medals in the Olympics for snowboarding if they were looking for someone who didn't smoke weed before they got on their fucking snowboard. It's hand in hand. It's part of the sport. It's a requirement. You can't do that shit. You can't go twirling around and jumping off fucking cliffs and shit like that on a fucking snowboard unless you're high. I don't know how you would do that sober. And it's not like, people who don't smoke weed don't know. It's not like you're drunk. You still have your function. If you're drunk off your ass and you can snowboard, you should get a gold medal just for that. Because that's some impossible shit. But snowboarding when you're stoned, that's easy. Because when you're stoned, you don't lose your ability to control your motor functions. You end up slow, which actually, weed slows you down. So the fact that you can win a gold medal just makes that and it makes you hungry. And it takes away the pain, and you can actually just kind of zone in and focus on shit. It's hard to do math. But if you're the way weed works, if you're creative and you're doing creative things like art, you take weed, it'll make your art 10 times better, but it'll make your math about 10 times worse. So if you got to do math today, don't smoke a bowl. If you got to do art today, get high. Be like Bob Ross. Look at him, the happy little trees. That's what he was talking about when he was talking about the happy trees. He wasn't talking about the fucking pine trees he painted. He's talking about them happy trees that he puffed on before he got on TV. So, fuck, man, I'll hire somebody to steal as many bicycles from the other team as they can and let them sell the bikes on eBay for a profit. I don't give a fuck. Just, help a brother out. Who can I hire to stand along the side of the road and beat the shit out of riders and anybody who's coming up the road ahead of me? Give them a taser. Shoot somebody with a taser. Have them fall off the bike and then just run away. Right? I'll pay a group of people to take out riders. Fuck it, man. It's part of the game. I'll pay a fan to stick a sign out in front of a rider that I don't like and knock him off the back of his bike. Fuck, man. If it's going to get brutal, give him some baseball bats and just imagine a bicyclist coming down the road at 50 miles an hour and all of a sudden a baseball bat, pow, in the side of the head. Knocks him off the back of the bike. Now you're getting into some dangerous territory because I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to be charged with murder for hire just to win the yellow jersey, but how about a pocket full of thumbtacks? Just give me a little bag full of thumbtacks. I'll hide it in one of my jersey pockets and get no breakaway. I'll just reach into my back pocket and sprinkle some tacks all over the fucking road and see how many people have to pull off to the side of the road with flat tires today. All because there's a bunch of tacks laying on the road. Jacks. Remember the Jacks game with the bouncing ball and those spiky little metal things? Man, throw a bunch of them on the road? Fuck. You're going to shred people's tires with it. They're going to have to get they might have to get a bike change from that. They're going to lose time for that. What about if someone's riding next to me? Can I pick up a stick off the side? Can I have a couple of sticks in my pocket that I picked up off the side of the road and just throw it in their spokes on their front wheel? Woo! Over the handlebars. Oh, look what, and if you do it sly enough and they go tumbling over the handlebars, it might just look like they lost control of their bike. What if I can put sugar in all the gas tanks of the team cars that have to follow the teams with their spare bikes and all that shit? Or what can I do to the cars in the parking lot so that the cars break down halfway through the race and have to pull over to the side of the road and the gas tank, the engine's full of sugar, or pull the drain plug, loosen up the drain plug to the oil pan on some of these cars and see how long it takes for all the oil to come out. Hell, man, you could put oil all over the road. You could have like some James Bond shit on my bike that leaves an oil slick behind me as I'm going up the hill, and then watch all the people slipping and sliding and falling all over the road as they're coming up behind me, and then there's a big crash and a pile up, and they're all climbing over each other and slipping and falling, and they can't get back on their bikes because the road's too slippery and they're sliding down the hill, and I'm just riding my way to the finish line. Have someone stand at the feed state. They have feed stations where people stand on the side of the road and hand out bags of food and water bottles and stuff. What if I could throw some X-Lax, like bake up some of those X-Lax cookies where you put X-Lax in the cookie dough and hand out a bunch of fucking cookies to the riders with X-Lax laced in them, so that all of a sudden they got to take a big diarrhea dump about an hour into the race, and they're all on the side of the road with their pants down, taking a squat on the side of the road, blasting the cornfields with fertilizer. I'm doing just fine on my ride. Nothing poisonous, and I don't want to kill these people, but maybe some rotten milk in the water bottle, so they take that swig and they're like, and they gotta toss it, and now they've got that rotten milk taste in their mouth for the rest of the day, and they can't get rid of it while they're riding their bike. I don't know, what about in the movie Gladiator, or those things that you see on the wheels in Houston when people are driving their Cadillacs down the road that stick out 4 feet, 5 feet from the fucking hub of the wheels and spin with the little blade on the end, like they had in the Gladiator movie. Like, what if I had something like that I could just get up next to someone and chop up their leg or chop their wheels all apart while they're riding along and just see ya? I mean that's probably going to be hard to hide. There's some logistics with that, but it may, if I could bribe the race officials to look the other way, I could get them to look, I could pay them enough money, they'll look the other way, and now I can't take a train, I can't hop on a bus or a train to go around a mountain anymore like they used to do, because the whole thing's on TV and they're filming the whole thing. So everything you do, especially if you're up front and if you're an important guy who has a chance, everything you do is going to be recorded on video. So you got to be careful. You can't hook a rope up to the bumper of a car and get towed up the hill anymore. So back in the day they used to do that, but not anymore. In 1904, I think the first Tour de France was 1902. This shit was such a big deal to win back then that in 1904, the winner of the Tour, he actually finished the race in 5th place. But it turned out that the first 4 riders, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, they all took a train to cover part of the race. And then they got caught. Someone caught them riding on a train. And so they all got disqualified, and the guy who came in 5th place actually won. So I don't know. What else could I do? What else could I do to cheat? Let me know in the comments below. The Tour de France is like I said, it's the Super Bowl of bicycling. And, 150 million people will watch the Super Bowl, but 3 billion people watch the Tour de France worldwide. And so, it's kind of a fun thing though, because for the country of France, going to the Super Bowl, how much do tickets cost to go to a fucking Super Bowl and be there in person? $10,000 to go see the fucking Super Bowl or some crazy shit. The Super Bowl is basically the elite of the United States and the celebrities. You have to basically be a fucking B-list celebrity at least just to sit in the stadium, right? So they got, they'll probably, Snoop Dogg will have a regular fucking seat in the stadium watching the Super Bowl. I mean, he might be in one of the luxury boxes, but, they're building all these football stadiums now to have more luxury boxes and less seats for the peasants. At some point, there won't be any place for a peasant to sit in a football game for the NFL. But, even the peasant seats at the Super Bowl, it's like, what, $10,000 or some shit to go see that. So you got to be some kind of celebrity or rich asshole just to go see that game, let alone have a luxury box and spend $10 million just to watch a fucking 3-hour football game. You got to be rich to go see that. But the Tour de France is free. You just got to stand on the side of the road and wait until they ride by. Granted, you're only going to get to see about 10 seconds to a minute or 10 minutes of the whole Tour de France, which is about 5 hours a day for 21 days. If you're a spectator during the time trial, you'll get to watch riders ride by you the whole day. So you'll get like 4 hours worth, but it's free. Stand on the side of the road, take a camera. You know, nobody's checking your fucking bags. You can, people lining the side of the roads getting drunk off their fucking ass in camper vans and just to watch the bike racers go by. And then the next day they go find another place to camp and watch it again. But it is the Super Bowl of cycling, so the equivalent of a luxury box at the Tour de France is, in the Tour de France, instead of a luxury box, you can take a helicopter. You can take, like, if you own a helicopter, you can climb in your helicopter and then you can fly above the race and watch the racers from your helicopter. And then you can find a place to land your helicopter in a farmer's field somewhere or whatever. And then you get out of the helicopter, you go stand on the side of the road. Go Lance! Go Lance! And then you run back to your helicopter. You jump back in the helicopter. You go back up in the air. You watch from above for a little bit. Then you go up to another place, land your helicopter again, get out of the helicopter and go stand on the side of the road. Lance! Lance! Do it again. And so you can hop around in your helicopter all day as the racers are going from here to there to there to there. And so you can be on the side of the road like 6 times, plus you get to see it from the air in your helicopter. And then maybe for the finish line, let's say the finish line or somewhere near the finish line is next to a bunch of luxury high-rise apartments in a town somewhere, and maybe because you're a rich asshole, you got friends that live in that, and so maybe you can take your helicopter to the helicopter pad on top of the building, come down to your buddy's apartment and hang out on the balcony with your champagne glass as the riders go across the finish line. So that's like the Tour de France equivalent of watching the game in a luxury box. You basically bounce around in a helicopter all day and you end up at a luxury high-rise to watch the race go below you across the finish line. So, I mean, it's just an interesting thing to watch because the peasants can watch it for free. If you're crafty enough, you could probably be on the side of the road early in the day and then get back in your car like a peasant and drive to where the finish line's going to be. And you could possibly get to the finish line in time to be there to see them again. It depends on traffic. If me being a photographer, I would love to go do that shit and chase the tour around France for a month with all my camera gear. And I'd get some really phenomenal pictures of that. One of the other things that they do is, like I said, the teams have tons and tons of bikes. And for any kind of contender, they'll have special bikes now for when the guy's wearing the yellow jersey, he'll have a yellow bike. It's just for the days that he's wearing the yellow jersey. Like, that's a new thing now. But the guy who won the time trial, the guy who had the normal looking helmet, and he's the world champion time trialist, and he didn't even have one of those penis heads or any of those goofy ass helmets. He was wearing a gold helmet, and he was wearing a rainbow jersey on the time trial day. And it's because not only is he the world champion time trialist, but he won the gold medal in the Olympics, so he gets to wear a gold helmet every day of the tour. And so he has a gold bicycle also, so he can choose to ride his gold bicycle whenever he's, like right now he's in the white jersey, so now he's riding a white bicycle to represent the white jersey. But he has a gold bicycle, plus he's got his team bicycles that are in the team colors. But he's been riding his white bike because he's in the white jersey, but he can, if he wants to, he can ride his gold bike on a regular stage if he's not in the white jersey. But for the hill climbs, they said that the gold paint on his gold bike weighs 290 grams more than the regular paint job on the regular team bike. So whenever they're doing mountain stages or hill climbs, he won't take the gold bike because it's an extra 290 grams and he doesn't want to be weighed down by all that weight. I mean, this is how much money they're throwing around at this fucking thing. He's got a gold bike just to, like that's straight up out of the ghetto. Like, the next thing you know, he's going to have spinning rims that when he comes to a stop, the rims keep spinning and spinning and spinning. Like, they're going to have that shit pretty soon if they're riding around on gold bikes. I'm surprised he doesn't have a lowrider bike so he can just roll, like, with chopper bars coming up the top of it. Like, if he just wants to do that for a day, I don't know. Like, why not? But another fun fact about this year's Tour de France is 3 successive world champions have held the yellow jersey so far, and up until stage 7, nobody held for the first 6 stages, nobody held the yellow jersey for more than a day. 3 of the yellow jerseys have been world champions this year, last year, and the year before. The World Championship bike race is a one-day race. Anybody could win it. A sprinter, a hill climber, endurance, like that's a level playing field. Anybody can win. Any of the people in that peloton could win on any given day for a world championship. So stage 7 is a little more boring. All the points races, it's like 100 and something miles, and all of the points and all of the hill climbs and the sprint points and all of that stuff were in the last like 30 miles of the race. So it was really boring to watch. There was a breakaway early on, they got away, but like there was nothing for them to get. No point. They could ride up front and be a couple minutes ahead of the peloton, but there were no points to get. It was mostly flat until the last 25 miles or so. It was a 5-man breakaway. Somebody got a leg cramp and went off to the side. One of the guys in the breakaway was a guy named Geraint Thomas. He's the oldest guy in the Tour de France. He's 39 years old, and he actually won the Tour de France back in 2018. He was in that lead group, but on the first big climb at the end of the race, he got dropped. A French cyclist got 1 point for the polka dot jersey on the first of the last 3 climbs. And today, the stage 7 was unique because there was a hill climb and a finish line, but they had to do a second lap around the town and come back up the hill twice. So they had to climb the same hill twice. So if you're a spectator at the finish line, and there was a huge crowd at the finish line today, or on that stage, you get to watch all the racers come by twice. And they ring a bell when they come across the finish line the first time, because there's another lap that they have to do, and it's like a 20-mile lap or something like that. 15-20-mile lap around this town, and then they come back to at the bottom of the hill and go up the hill one more time. And I thought, well, that was kind of unique, because they don't do that very often, where they do a long bike ride from one city to another, and then they do a lap around the town and come back to the same finish line, so you get to see them twice. If you're at the finish line watching the race, you get to watch twice. But the French guy, he got the whole breakaway. Everybody got caught on the second lap of that finale, and but he did. The French guy ended up climbing 2 hills first and got 3 points for the King of the Mountains, but they're not in the mountains yet. So the King of the Mountains, really, it don't matter, because once they get into the mountains, the points go way the fuck up for the King of the Mountain competition. And so all the points that you accumulate in these early days of the race don't really add up to much. You can get your ass kicked as soon as you get to the mountains. On the final lap of the bell lap on that finale today, there was a huge crash with like 10 dudes wiped out. it was about 9 or 10 dudes. A guy got a little sketchy on his brakes and went over the handlebars, and everybody in the back of that lead group was wiped out all over the road. They were just scattered all over the road, broken bicycles and people. Just like 10 dudes wiped the fuck out. That one guy's out of the tour for sure. The other 9 or 10 or however many it was, they're kind of like, they don't really know. One of them is the key teammate for the leader of the race, Tadej Pogačar, who ended up sprinting today. He won the stage, and he's back in the yellow jersey again. And he got the green jersey back. And he's got a huge lead in the green jersey competition for the sprinters. His teammate now has the polka dot jersey for the mountains, the king of the mountains, but his teammate only has the polka dot jersey by a single point. So he almost got all 3 jerseys back on his shoulders. So, I mean, when they start getting into the mountains and stuff, like, it's probably a slim to none chance because there's a lot of sprint points that he's not going to try and go after. And he's probably not going to try and get to the top of every mountain first. Riders don't do that shit anymore. They try to conserve their energy to win the yellow jersey, and that's all they care about. But there have been riders in the past that walked away with all 3 of the jerseys at the end of the Tour de France. The green, the polka dot, and the yellow. Fuck anybody else. I'm taking it all. And he could. I mean, there is a chance that this dude could. That would be a sight to see. That would be something crazy to watch. In the modern way that the Tour de France is run, and the way that it's all managed, and the way that these riders are trained and everything. They're training for one thing. They're training to win one of the 3 jerseys. They're not trying to win all. Nobody's out there trying to win all 3 of these things. But if this dude is so on top of his game, he's 26 years old, he's already won 3 Tour de France's. If he walked away with the yellow jersey, the green jersey, and the polka dot jersey, and the only reason he can't get the white jersey is because he's 26, and 26 is the cutoff for the age limit. That dude, he's 26 years old. The oldest guy in the tour right now is 39. I don't remember how old Lance Armstrong was when he won his last one, but he won 7 years in a row. So this dude has been in the tour out 5 or 6 times. He's won 3 of them. He's got an arch rival that could win it. It's not going to be easy for him to win, but he could. This guy could clean up. I mean, I would say it's a slim chance to none, but it would be a crazy thing to watch. Someone in a modern 2025 style Tour de France walk away with the sprint green jersey, the polka dot jersey, and the yellow jersey at the end of the race. He'd be like, that gives him 4 Tour de France victories, and he would just need 1 more Tour de France win to be. Nobody's won more than 5 except for Lance Armstrong, and they took those away. So if he were to win 5 and then win, he's 26. He's got 4 more years before he's 30 years old, and Lance Armstrong was winning that shit through his 30s. This kid could win. He could end up winning 10 times. It's hard to say because I think the playing field is a little more even now. You're not gonna see the days where somebody just wins 7 years in a row anymore. You're not going to see someone win it 5 years in a row anymore. I think those were the doping days, and it ended up being whoever's the best doper wins by a lot. But this kid could win more than Lance Armstrong. He could end up being the greatest cyclist of all time. The dude's skinny. He's built to be a cyclist. His fucking arms are this big around here in the meaty part, like where you're supposed to. His arms are as big around as a fucking Lincoln log. They're nothing. The dude probably weighs 110 pounds. I don't even know. Like between between the kid and his bike, between his bike and him, he's half of my weight. He's half of what I weigh with his bike. So, and all his clothing and everything else, like his total weight, if you hung him, if you weighed him on the bike, I weigh twice as much as that without my bike. Probably. That'd be my guess. So I don't know. It's fun to watch. Sorry about a 2-hour video. I actually got some things I have to do. I know you do too. But I mean, I know a lot of you watch these videos because the analytics show that you do. So I'm not afraid to put a long video out there, even if you don't watch it all at once. My average view time went from like 30 seconds when I was homeless to like 40 minutes now for a video. And so and for example, if you come and you watch the video for half an hour and then you watch it again later and you watch it again later or whatever, that shows up as like separate views, and the length of that view counts towards that average. And so I know enough of you watch this stuff because I see it. The average view length is through the roof on these. So I don't care. Like, the number of subscribers I would like to see go up, but I know that, this isn't the kind of video that goes viral. This is just me, hanging out with you guys, talking, documenting my comeback from the worst day of my life. And with that, thanks for tuning in. And remember, live stream on Thursday from 6 to 8, another 2-hour live stream. I'll do it. You can see I don't have a problem talking for 2 hours. It goes by pretty quick. I did jot down some things about the Tour de France to talk about as I was watching it, just little cliff notes, a little bullet point here and there. But, you can pick a topic. Show up on Thursday, pick a random topic. I guarantee you I've got a story about it. I always do. Like, it's a game. I'll play the game. Pick a topic, I'll have a story for you. Don't matter what the topic is, pick a random word out of the dictionary. I'll have something to go with it. I've lived a long and interesting life, and I've experienced all the different things that, I've seen. I haven't seen it all. I didn't get a free trip to Jeffrey Epstein Island or nothing that fucking crazy, but I've seen some shit in my day. And with that, I'm gonna say peace out, and we'll talk again.